Today, I'm going to be taking on one of my hardest ever rebuild challenges, and it might very well be impossible. The aim is to take a club from the 6th tier of English football, the lowest playable league in FM, and try and take them to Premier League glory with only 10 years to do so. But which club in the lowest playable division did I pick? Well, it had to be Dorking Wanderers. Founded in only 1999, the club has had a major rise, going from Sunday League to the Football League in pretty much no time at all in footballing terms. The owner of the club is also the manager, Mark White, and you might recognise him from social media, from the Bunch of Amateurs YouTube channel, and today we're going to step in and try and keep those Sunday League vibes going as we take the club all the way, hopefully, to Premier League glory. But 10 years really isn't a long time, especially when you look at where we are as a club. We've got a 1.5-star reputation, pretty poor facilities, and whilst we are expected to win the division this year, really to go from the 6th tier to Premier League title winners in 10 seasons is going to be nearly impossible. We're going to need promotion pretty much every year, or else we'll get to the Prem with no time really to be able to win it, so the pressure is on. But if any team can do it, I think Dorking will be able to, because if you look at their history, they have just been on an upward trajectory, getting better and better as the seasons have gone by, so we're going to hope to continue that, and actually, we've got some pretty good players for this level of football that we can build around. Charlie Carter is a fantastic midfield option for this level. Fan favourite Josh Taylor will run the centre of the pitch, and we'll be hoping star striker Alfie Rutherford can keep putting the ball in the back of the net. And those players are going to be big for us right now, but realistically, we're going to need a total overhaul pretty much every season if we're going to get to the Prem and win it. So our recruitment needs to be right, the tactic needs to be right, and we need to make sure we get everything going in the right direction. The only issue is we're going to need money to do that, and the club isn't exactly blessed. The budgets aren't terrible, but there's not really much to work with here. But I'm going to give it my best shot anyway. We'll see who we can sign and who we can sell in the first transfer window. Now, as this is going to be a longer rebuild, this will be split up into multiple episodes, so make sure you keep an eye out. Every few days we'll be dropping the next one. But if we want there to be a season 2, we've got to make sure we don't lose our job and we win the title as expected. Now, at this kind of level in the 6th tier of English football, I'm not exactly able to go out and sign Mbappe and Messi, but I have been able to do a bit of wheeling and dealing and bought in a few players for free that I think could help our team long term. One that we picked up for the future was a free agent that we found through trialling some players out by the name of Pat Gregory, a fullback with some potential, but realistically isn't going to be amazing right now for as I wouldn't have thought. One player that looks like he could do big things if he hits his potential though is Tyree Goodyear, who is a striker, 16 years of age, another free agent picked up through trials that I'm hoping maybe next season or the season after might break into the first team. But someone that I've bought in for the right now is Ruben Shakpoke, who is a 20-year-old striker, again picked up as a free agent having left Aston Villa and Norwich. He's obviously had a good academy career behind him. He might be a little bit injury prone, but actually I think for this level he could be a very good option, and the game thinks he could get way better than what we're seeing right now. And that was basically all we were able to do with our limited budgets. Obviously in our first few seasons it's going to be tough, it's going to be a struggle, but hopefully as the years go by we'll be able to bring in better players. Right now though, the only aim every season really is just to keep getting promoted as quickly as possible, so time doesn't run out on our 10-year challenge. And tactically, I'm trying something a little bit different. No 4-3-3, no 4-2-3-1 gegenpress. Instead, we are going for a 4-4-2 system, and it's one that I've never really tried before in terms of the roles that I'm using and whatnot, but we're going to give it a go anyway. I'll introduce you to a few key players right now that hopefully will be around for the long term. A lot of these guys, though, realistically, with only contracts at the end of this year, won't be here for too long, but Magnus Norman looks to be a goalkeeper we could keep for a while. He's considered a good player for this level. 23-year-old Scottish fullback Brennan Camp will hopefully be a mainstay of our first team for as long as we can have him, and then Bobby Joe Taylor is one of our best in that left fullback spot, and I'm already trying to renegotiate his contract to have him for another season. Dan Pybus is a player who was recently bought in by Dorking, formerly of Sunderland, and he is someone I think will attract interest as time goes on, as he is way better than the level we're playing at currently in FM. And then James McShane as well is another one of those players that is on the older side, but for right now should be a very good option in our lineups. Now, as I've mentioned, we are predicted to go and win the league, and the board expect nothing less, so Mark White has stepped down from manager, and he is now the owner of the club, and he wants instant promotion. I think in real life, the club finished near the top spots, but didn't quite get promoted, but we're expected to go up at the first available opportunity, so we need to be on our A game to make sure that we don't lose our job and this impossible challenge doesn't fall at the first hurdle. And in our first season, we have already had a wild ride. It's never going to be a simple job managing a team at this kind of level, and there's been plenty of drama already, and we'll start with our FA Cup run. Now, we managed to make it through all the qualifying matches and actually got into the FA Cup proper, where we came up against Wrexham. Bunch of amateurs against a team that have their own Disney Plus show, and they went 1-0 up. But we were able to show some fight, and early on in the second half, we managed to actually pull a goal back as Bobby Joe Taylor scored a header. Wrexham, though, have real quality, and at our stadium, they were able to go 2-1 up late on through Paul Mullin. But we managed to secure a great result in the 90th minute. Alfie Rutherford with a brilliant strike to make it 2-2, and that earned us a replay because in this world of FM there are still FA Cup replays, as we went to Wrexham's ground where unfortunately we lost, but we did show we could mix it up with some teams way ahead of us in terms of the league standings. But still, when it came to the league table, it wasn't all smooth sailing. We started off slow with losses to the likes of Weymouth at home and Torquay away, but as time went on we started to find our feet. We were learning the tactic, the players were learning to play well together, and before we knew it we were in a full-blown title race where on the last day of the season we needed a win to decide who would be getting promoted to the 5th tier of English football. Our opponents on the day was Truro City. We were at their stadium, and if they lost they'd be relegated, so there was huge stakes on this game, but we went 1-0 up. And at that point early on we thought we might cruise to a victory until Truro scored a header, but we weren't going to let the title slip that easy, and my new signing Shaq Pope chipped the goalkeeper to make it 2-1, only for Truro to hit back in the 81st minute with the title now out of our hands. I said there'd be drama, and there was. In the 88th minute, the ball came in from a corner. Goodyear, our youngster, passed it across to McManus, who fired home, and that secured us a late win and secured the title for our Dorking team to make sure at the first time of asking we got promoted as expected, and we can start moving towards hopefully trying to win the Prem. For right now though, I think we just need to be very happy that we did win this title. We lost 9 games, we drew 9, and with 42 goal difference we only just edged out Maidstone. They got 91 points and were the team that we were trying to beat on the last day of the season. Meanwhile, it was Worthing that actually got the promotion spot, going up through the playoffs, having beat Torquay United, so Maidstone do miss out, but we got exactly what we wanted. We hit that promotion, we go now to the 5th tier of English football, to the Vanarama National League, and we have some players that we can definitely build around, but also some problems coming up, because we had some really good performances from the likes of Tyreek Goodyear, who scored 15 goals and was our best performer at only the age of 16. Alfie Rutherford managed to score 17, whilst Matt Briggs, Bobby Joe Taylor, and James McShane, some of the favourites from the club, as well as Charlie Carter, all did very well for us. Josh Taylor and our new signing Ruben Shaq Pope was also exceptional with 12 goals himself, but the issue is, if we now go to our squad and look at contract expiry dates, all of these players from here downwards have their contracts potentially expiring, so we need to take a look at them, see how many we can keep on, if we even have the budgets to do so, and then it's going to need a rebuild in the 5th tier no matter what anyway, so we'll see who we can hang on to. We've got a decent budget to work with, but it's not exactly crazy. Either way though, I'm going to try and shift it to the wages and bring in as many free agents as we can. Now we're in the 5th tier, the competition is certainly going to ramp up, and we need to make sure we don't get relegated at the first opportunity. And we have had a major transfer window already here at Dorking, because most of them players that we saw earlier, their contracts ran out. I didn't think they were worth keeping for the money they were asking for, and it meant we needed a bunch of new blood coming into the team to make sure we're actually able to stay up in the 5th tier that we've tried to get promoted to. A relegation at this stage would completely throw off what we're trying to do, winning the Prem in 10 seasons. I'm delighted though with the players we've brought in. Before we see them though, if you're still watching to this point, either you like the video or you fell asleep, but if you are currently awake, if you could hit the like button for me, that would mean a lot, and subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss the rest of this series, because I imagine it's going to get pretty intense as we get close to that 10-year mark. It'd be great to hear from you guys in the comments as well. If you want to get involved, let me know what you're thinking and what we should do with this team by the end of the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts of how we could improve the squad, but with that being said, let's see who we brought in and who I chose to improve the squad in Season 2. Firstly, I made full use of the loan market, bringing in 2 players from clubs much better than ours that hopefully can help us do really well in the 5th tier this year. We got on loan from Southampton Derek Abu, a Nigerian fullback whose contract will be expiring with them soon, formerly of Chelsea. Obviously, he's had very good pedigree. as you can tell here, as a Chelsea fan. So yeah, Derek Abu is someone that hopefully could go on to be a big player for us this season. And I've also bought in Michael Strickland from Reading. Our scouts recommended him very highly, and when he was available on a loan for a very minimal fee, I thought we had to get the job done. He's someone that's going to come in as one of our best players. He is coming in as our best centre-back already at the age of 21, and I'm hoping he's someone that can really do the business for us at the back this year. I needed a backup goalkeeper to go alongside the one we already had, so I've gone and signed Reece Bine on a free. This 22-year-old has formerly been at Leyton Orient and played last season at Torquay United and did pretty well, so he was good enough for the division below. Hopefully he'll be good enough to be a backup in this division. I then brought in a very exciting free agent by the name of Nico Valentine, a 20-year-old Jamaican who can play up front, on the wing, or anywhere really that we ask of him in those forward positions. He signs having been let go by Ipswich after a few loans out, where last season in the league below this, the National League North, he did pretty well for a youngster, so I feel like he's someone that could grow into something special, but I'm not expecting too much right now. But after a lot of the contract expiries, we were looking light at centre-back, so I was delighted to bring in this guy whose name I'm going to butcher, Kelleher. I don't even know how you pronounce that first name, but we're going to say Kelleher because I know how to say that one. A 29-year-old Irish centre-back who comes in as one of our best, signing from Colchester on a free. He is going to be one of our leaders at the back, I hope, next to the youngster that we've loaned in. Hopefully they can make a good partnership, but he is expected to be one of our best players, and I'd hope so with one of the biggest contracts in the squad. But I've improved a little bit more on our wing options by signing Charles Claydon, a 24-year-old Englishman who comes in expecting to be a star player for us, formerly of Charlton and Leyton Orient. He played last season at Boreham Wood in the division below and did pretty well. They've signed him for 20k, lost him for free, but if he's a 20k player, clearly there's something in there that we can hopefully get the best out of, and he comes in as probably one of our best on the left wing. So there's a lot of newcomers that I'm expecting to make a big impact on our first team already, and I think we've done a pretty good job in the transfer window. But if you're enjoying this rebuild and you'd like to continue it yourself, you can actually find the save files for this rebuild over on the Patreon, which I'll link in the description down below. Over there, to be honest, it's the best way to support me as a creator. You guys help pay for an editor, thumbnail designer, all of those things to try and make these videos better for you, so the money I make goes straight back in to helping the channel. And on there, you don't just get the rebuild files either. You get to watch the videos early, ad-free. We do polls to decide which rebuild you want to see next, and plenty of other stuff. So if you want to check it out, I massively appreciate it. And a big thank you to you guys that are already over there supporting me, because it helps me do things like this on more of a regular basis. I'm thinking this will be quite a fun rebuild, being a bit of a longer one as well. So if you want to get stuck in and try and do a better job than I do, that's where you're going to find the files. But let's get back to the team and let's take a look at our new best 11. And what I'm pretty happy with is, whilst in the squad we have let go of many of our players that were fringe players, we have managed to keep a lot of the core stars that really make up this Dorking team. In goal, we still have Norman, Abu and Strickland. The loanees are alongside Kelleher, who we've just bought in, and then Bobby Joe Taylor, who's been at the club for a while. Briggs, Carter and Pybus have one new addition next to them in the form of Clyden, and then we're expecting Shaq Pope to be our best striker alongside Rutherford. So there's big expectations for this team, really. We have bought in some good players. The board only want us to avoid relegation, so we want to make sure we please Mark White by doing that. But currently, we're predicted to finish in 14th place with 14-1 odds of winning the title. It's not exactly impossible that we might be able to get promoted straight away, and we're going to need to if we want to hit that 10-goal target of winning the Premier League. So the pressure's on, the timer's on. We need to make sure we have a good year this year to put us in a good place to hopefully make that Premier League goal. And I'll be honest, Season 2 has been a setback. I'll get into why in a second, but it really has been a mixed bag as Dorking manager this year. But let's start away from the league and focusing in on our FA Cup campaign, where this time we actually made it into the first round again, and we were up against a League 2 side in Wimbledon. But despite the gap in the league table, we went away to their stadium and played them off the park, managing to beat them 3-0 in a brilliant victory. And that set up a second round tie against League 1 side Charlton, 2 divisions higher than us, but we managed to go 1-0 up for a great strike early on. And just before the halftime whistle was blown, we were in dreamland as Bobby Joe Taylor found Carter on the edge of the area into Briggs to power it home for 2-0. 2-0. Now, qualifying for the third round will be massive for us in terms of getting a Premier League side in the draw financially, but we conceded. But we managed to hold on to the lead until the 82nd minute, when a long ball forward from Charlton managed to get their player on the wing. He pulled it back, and then on the edge of the area, a great strike found the corner of the net to make it 2-2. And our dreams and hearts were broken late on, as in the 92nd minute, instead of it going our way, this time it didn't. Charlton were able to find the third goal, knock us out, and that was us out of the FA Cup. We had bottled really a 2-0 lead that could have brought us so much success. The third round of the FA Cup would have been huge financially, but it wasn't to be. And actually up until that point in the season, we had been winning literally every game in the league, but this started us on a terrible downturn, and we started losing everything. In February, we did not win a single game, getting blasted by Forest Green on the way. That poor form continued in March as well, as we drew 2 and lost the other 4. And really, we stumbled to the finish line, not having the best season at all, and we eventually lost all of our games in April, bar 1 as well. It weren't a great time. And it meant that eventually we finished in 15th place, which isn't exactly great. 63 points isn't terrible, mind you. 18 wins, 19 draws. We finished about where we were predicted to. We just looked so good in the early stages. And after that FA Cup exit, we started to drift off a little bit. Still got some results, but after the start of a new year, it all went wrong. And I couldn't really place why. I thought it was a morale thing. But I checked out the team, and I realised something happened. Because Reading, who we loaned in our best centre-back from, decided to pull the rug on us and recalled Michael Strickland halfway through the season, having started 26 games, so playing regularly for us, only to use him 4 times in League 2. Now, I think that was a little bit of a waste. He was doing so well for us, would have developed far more. He's a brilliant player, mind you, and clearly too good for us, but him being taken away from us meant our centre-back position was empty, and we just went on to concede loads and lose games from there. And the setback has been tough as well, because now we don't even have like a bunch of players that I can say, yeah, we can rely on them, because no one really shone in the division this year. I mean, Alfie Rutherford scored 19, but playing 40 odd games up front, I guess you might expect it. Charlie Carter did well from midfield, managing to score 11, but the best was probably Nico Valentine, who was our best performer, and the Jamaican managed to do really well, starting to fulfill his potential with 16 goals and 6 assists in the league as our best player. But really, we need more than this, and unfortunately, we're not exactly going to have the budget to be able to change things around in our third season. With £0 of transfer budget, near enough 2k in the wages, it's really not a lot. I'm not going to be able to do much with this at all, but somehow I'm going to have to try and make it work. Now, I might have had a limited budget in Season 3, but I actually feel like I've done a pretty good job with what we had. I managed to actually make a pretty decent sale for the size of the club Dorking is, and that's meant that we've been able to reinvest and build a better team, I think, for a title challenge this year. Let's start with that sale though. Charlie Claydon was a player that we bought in for free only last season, and he had interest straight away this summer as Wimbledon came in for him in the league above. I mean, if you remember, we beat them 3-0, so they had a good view of him, but he wasn't exactly exceptional last year, so to turn a free transfer into 120,000 was a big deal. That's a lot of money for a club like Dorking. I shifted it all into the wages and bought in a bunch of new free agents. Firstly, I did feel like we were lacking depth in the fringe players, so I brought in a few guys that are just going to play bit parts here and there if people get injured and whatnot. The first one is Theo Vassell, a 29-year-old English centre-back. And then Kenton Richardson, it's a very similar situation, just bring in some extra depth in that area for those emergencies. But at right back, we've managed to improve with the signing of 23-year-old Englishman Harvey Lintert, who is a very good fullback option for this level, formerly of Gillingham and Northampton. He went to the Irish leagues and has now came back, and he will be playing for Dorking next season. He's going to be vying for a starting place in that right back spot for us this year, and I think looks way better than what we had there previously. But he'll have competition from Jaden Camerson, who's a 19-year-old English right back who has way more potential, and I think could be a star player for us way ahead in the future if we keep getting promoted. He's a former Manchester United player, so he's obviously had a good academy upbringing, and now at this stage, I mean, he's already good enough for our first team at 19. Who knows, maybe by the time he's 20, 21, we'll be looking at a championship level fullback maybe, if all goes well. It's big dreams, but it's a kind of player that could be sold on and make huge money in the future. I've bought in Devon Green as an extra option on the wide midfield areas where we were missing some depth last year. And then our other permanent signing was a player that rejected us last year but soon accepted the deal this time round. It's Paul Appiah, who started off as a free agent formerly of Chelsea, Villa and Leicester. He went to Port Vale in League 2, spent a season out on loan at Cambridge United in League 2 as well, never really got the game there, was let go on a free, and now we've finally been able to pick him up. For only £1,000 a week, this is a great player, especially for this level. He is going to be a great option at centre-back, and it's great that we've got him permanently because it means we don't have to worry about our players being recalled this time. And finally, I've bought in a loanee, a new gen player who was formed at Flyde. He's an 18-year-old wing option who won't do too much, but is just there to give us some cover. And here is a team that we are going with now for our third season and what will be the last season of this episode of the series. But one player I want to point out is our left back. He's been here for a long while, actually. It's Jordan Norville-Williams and has been developing quite well. Now, he doesn't look great here, but at the start of this save, he was someone that I didn't really think much of, but he started getting a bit of game time off the bench and is now probably going to be our starting left back with Bobby Joe Taylor having left at the end of last season. So he's going to get the chance. We're going to see what he can do. I did try and keep Bobby Joe Taylor, but he wanted to move on and he got a new deal on a free. And actually, a lot of the core players that you will know from the Dorking squad have now gone. This is pretty much a new look team. I mean, Charlie Carter's still here and Rutherford, but for how long these guys will be with us, who knows anymore. If we have a look at the season preview, the board again only want us to avoid a relegation battle, and the game thinks we have regressed slightly with an 18-1 odds chance of winning the title this time round. It's not expected we're going to do it, but I feel like our squad's in a better place, and if we can just keep everyone performing and everyone happy, we could maybe at least make a playoff place. And considering how we did last season, this year was a huge change in our fortunes. We were absolutely brilliant throughout the whole year, and as we got to the final months of the season, we were actually leading the table and had the chance to win the title for the only one automatic promotion spot in the league. We just had to win our last few games, and we'd have it. But unfortunately, in April, we hit a slump out of absolutely nowhere as we went on to lose 3-1 at home to Boreham Wood. We then got beat 3-0 by Solihull Moors, and in the next game, we lost 4-2 to Ebbsfleet. So we completely collapsed. Out of nowhere, we'd gone from winning the title to now being outside of the automatic promotion spots, and it meant we ended up falling into a playoff place as the season came to a close. A really big fall off, but we had to get this right to get promoted. Our opponents on the day were Yeovil Town, and after 9 minutes in the semi-final of the playoffs, we got off to a great start as Appiah found Fergus to put us 1-0 up. Yeovil, though, were in much better form than us as we went into the playoffs and managed to make it 1-1, and we're now in the ascendancy. But a penalty from Fergus later on allowed us to go 2-0 up, Valoni scoring again, before the 75th minute when a great run from our left back allowed us to get a third as Moore headed home. And into the playoff final we went. The only issue is we were against the team that was meant to be the odds-on favourite to win the title this year in Forest Green. And in the final, we went 1-0 down after 5 minutes in a terrible start to the game. And as time ticked on into the second half, it looked like promotion was not going to be ours until the 54th minute where Carter picked the ball up on the right wing, played it across, and our first season signing managed to score. And then it was 2 through youngster Goodyear scoring a brilliant goal later on. And I said at the start of season 1, we bought some players for the future. Goodyear was one of them, now scoring to take us into the proper league table, and then Shaq Pope got his second of the game, and that meant we won the playoff match and that our team, our Dorking side, was getting promoted to League 2, the 4th tier of the football pyramid, and now it's here where the real hard work is going to begin as we have to sign the right players to start climbing to hopefully make that championship, then eventually push on to that Premier League place. And some of our players were excellent this season, really turning the form around from last year. But what I want to ask you guys in the comments down below is, who do you want me to keep? I'm going to choose one player to try and keep in the squad for when we win the Premier League. I want someone that's been here the whole way. Who it's going to be right now, I don't know. There have been some great performers. I mean, Charlie Carter was excellent with 17 goals. He might be the one. Age 30 though. Will he survive another 10 years of football? Maybe not. Jordan Norville-Williams was the player we picked out at left back as well. He was great with 19 assists from that fullback position. Really doing a great job. Paul Fergus Saloni as well, scoring 15 goals for us. He's someone we're going to try and pick up on a free now. He's not signing a new deal at Flyde, so we might be able to get in there and pick him up. And overall, there was lots of players performing for us. 13 from Shaq Pope, Rutherford with 14, who's starting to decline now, but still, we're working our way through. Our reputation still hasn't moved, nor have our club's facilities, but if we're talking an impossible rebuild, we're off to the start that we needed to hit. 3 seasons in, we're in League 2, that leaves 7 seasons now, not just to get to the Prem, but to win the whole thing, it's going to be tough, but I'll see you in the next episode where we'll try and make it happen. Now, so far, during my 3 years as manager, I think I've done a pretty good job. In 2 of the seasons, we've ended up getting promoted, now into the 4th tier. We've managed to upgrade the facilities a little bit, but our reputation is still really low, at only 2 stars out of 5, meaning it's going to be really tough to attract any kind of decent talent to our team. And with our side expected to finish in 22nd place in the relegation zone, it's not exactly looking likely that this Dorking team is ready to get that instant promotion that we're going to need if we want to complete our 10-season challenge, but I think there are some good players at the club right now that we can definitely start building around. Our most talented player is one of our standouts from last season, Jaden Camerson, who is an English 20-year-old who we picked up from Manchester United on a free, and he is going to be massive for us this year. And I'm sure Nico Valentine will be the exact same, a Jamaican 22-year-old who we bought in a couple of seasons ago, and he has been one of our standout players since. The former Ipswich man is a vital part of what we're building. And our academy has started to churn out some good players too, like Northern Irish 18-year-old Chris Moore, who could be one of the best central midfielders in this division if he continues his growth, because last year in the National League, he was already very, very good, so hopefully he can take the step into League 2. So look, our squad isn't exactly the most talented in the world. We need to get promoted to hit our targets, but realistically, we're expected to go down. I think our first 3 seasons have gone well, but now it's time to really push on, and we're going to need the right players to do it, so I've got to really make sure I get it right in the transfer market. And I think in our first transfer window, I've got this episode off to a very good start. The players we've brought in, I think, take us up an extra little gear. Whether that will be the difference to keeping us up or not is another question, but I certainly think some of these transfers could give us a really good chance. Coming in first is 21-year-old Josh Briggs, a Northern Irish under-21 international, who you might look at and go, he really doesn't look great based on his attributes, but for the club that we're at right now, he is considered one of our best defenders, which goes to show you we're going to need some work. We've also improved our goalkeeping options with the signing of Alex Kovacevic, who is a 22-year-old English goalkeeper with some of the craziest hair you'll see, who we've bought in from Oxford United, but he is formerly an Arsenal player, so clearly some good academy pedigree, and if he reaches his potential, could be our number 1. If you didn't see episode 1, we are playing a 4-4-2 system that's helped us get promoted so far, and we're going to stick to it, so we needed some extra wide options, and I think Ricky Rayner, an 18-year-old English new gen, could be potentially trained into that left mid spot and do a decent job for us. He's a good player with good potential who we bring in after being let go from Coventry, so there's championship pedigree in this young lad, and fingers crossed he can develop into a good player for this level. But the man I'm kind of hanging my hat on here really is Daniel Adu Ajay, who is a 22-year-old Englishman who's 6'2", quick as well, and might not be the best technically, but he is someone that I'm hoping will be able to get us a lot of goals. He's been at Fulham, been at Bournemouth, played a game for Bournemouth actually in the Premier League, even if it was only a sub appearance, so clearly there's some kind of talent here. Now, is he going to be the real product straight away? I'm not so sure, but in time, I feel like this guy could be our leading forward, and actually, with the level we're at right now, he probably does step into our first team instantly. So with the budgets we had, we weren't exactly able to make the world's best squad and instantly get promoted, but I'm hoping those players will certainly help us out across the course of this year. But now our best 11 in this 4-4-2 shape is starting to take shape, for lack of a better word. In goal, we've got Magnus Norman, who's been with us since the start. Camerson, who you've met, is at right back, with a centre-back partnership of Appiah, the 24-year-old Dutchman, alongside Kelleher, who's someone informed me is the brother of the goalkeeper at Liverpool, and actually when you look at his face, yeah, you can kind of see it. He's been with us for a few years now, as has Jordan Norville-Williams, who was here right from the start when we took over, as was Charlie Carter, alongside the new gen Chris Moore. Josh Taylor is our best left wing, and actually, when you see the star ratings of some of our positions, I think we're really going to struggle here. The budgets haven't been kind to us, we haven't exactly been able to attract the best talent, and if we don't get promoted this year, I mean, what, we'll be 4 seasons in, only 6 years left to get out of League 2, League 1, the Championship, then into the Prem, and then that's assuming you got promoted every year, and that we're going to win the Prem straight away. I might have set myself an impossible task here, but we're going to give it our best shot anyway, in what is now our 4th season at the club, and the first of this episode. So, our Dorking Wanderers team had managed to go from the Vanarama National League South to League 2 in only 3 years. A great achievement, but what it did mean is that our players weren't exactly up to speed for this level, and you could really tell that in the early days of the season. We started off by losing to Grimsby Town away, we then lost to Bradford, we drew at home to Doncaster, and finished our first month with a draw against Northampton. So, we started the season with no win at all, and to be honest, that kind of theme kept up for the first few months. We started to get points on the board, started to win the odd match, but really, there was no consistency and it didn't look good until it all turned around. Because after that inconsistent form, in November time, we faced Shrewsbury at home, and we had a stunning game going 1-0 up. It wasn't long before that was 2, then 3, 4, a fifth added in the second half, before we made it 6 goals up, and then we completed the rout in the 82nd minute, making it 7-0 to our Dorking team. And that was the catalyst for big change for our Dorking side. Were we perfect after that? No, but we started picking up way more wins and starting to climb up the division. There was a 4-0 away win against Mansfield, we stuck 4 past Gateshead as well, and even 4 against Bradford City, who we struggled against early in the season. So we really did change our fortunes around, but unfortunately it did end up being a little bit too little too late. We had a good season, but we have really set ourselves a hard task now for the rest of this 10-year challenge. Because we ended up finishing in 8th place, which was only 3 points away from a playoff spot. In the end, it wasn't to be this year. All the teams at the top getting promoted, and we are going to be stuck here for another season, which is not great because that will take us now to our 5th year, and we're still in League 2, and we're trying to win the Prem in 10. I might have made this a little bit too hard for myself, but at the very least, we know who we can trust next season, because there was some great performers in this team that we can build around. Firstly, credit to the new striker, Daniel Adu Adjei managed to score a ton of goals, 20 in fact, as well as 20 goals from Ruben Shakpoke, who we picked up a couple years back, and he has been unbelievable, the former Aston Villa man. Jordan Norville-Williams, the left back, was also excellent when called upon, and one of my favourite parts of this is seeing Charlie Carter, the man who has been at the club from season 1, still contributing, still one of our best players, scoring 7 goals for us this year in League 2. So look, it's not perfect, it's not amazing, but it's a much better season than everyone imagined we would have. The only issue now is our budgets are still very small. Even if I put all of this to the wage budget, we've got 4 grand, that's maybe 2 players, 3 first team players at a push, so it's going to be tough to get anything done, but still, I'm going to try and do what I can, do some wheeling and dealing, let some players go, and fingers crossed we can make some big improvements for this team in Season 5. And I can't lie, I might be the master of transfers because we had a really small budget here, yet I've been able to, in my opinion, revolutionise our Dorking squad and give us a really good chance of promotion this year. If you're still watching at this point though, it probably means you're either enjoying the video or you hate watching. Either way, if you're still here at this point, if you could hit that like button, it really would help on the videos. Your support in episode 1 was massive. It struggled at the start and I thought, oh no, I've started a new series and the first episode hasn't done well, but now it started to pick up thanks to you guys. So keep the support coming, like the video, and make sure you're subscribed as well so you don't miss the future episodes of this series. There's hopefully going to be 4 or 5 parts to this, so make sure you are following along. And I need your guys' help as well in the comments. Let me know what you think this team needs. What position are we really lacking? Because for me, I can't really tell where we're going wrong, but there's still some areas that need improvement, but I think a lot of them have been ironed out in this transfer window. Let's start with a couple of new gens I have picked up for free that I think could eventually be part of our first team. Firstly, we have Matthew Strong, an 18-year-old goalkeeper, picked up as a free agent. The same story goes for 18-year-old David Corcoran, who is an Irish under-21 international, so he's got a big future in the centre of the park. But my scouts also did really well in finding Jules Saka, a Congolese under-21 18-year-old who is formerly of Newcastle and is going to be a really good player down the line. Whether he's going to help us right now is another question, but we have definitely got some potential in our ranks now. But in a major coup for our Dorking team, I got 2 great transfers. The first one was Lewis Orford, who, if you don't know, is considered one of West Ham's best academy products in real life. In this save, he ended up going on loan to Scunthorpe in the National League, did well, ended up at Blackburn as well at one point, but now he was a free agent. We have picked him up and he is an unreal midfielder for this level, and at 22, I think we've got a great player here who really could be the linchpin in our team for years to come now. He is that good, and I'm hoping we can really build a team around him. But there was one player better than that I think takes our team to a whole new level. But before you see him, just to let you know, there is something very exciting coming on the Patreon. Now, if you don't know, you can find it linked in the description, and it is the best way to support me as a creator. You guys who help support me over there financially help pay for the editor for these videos, the thumbnail designer, all of that stuff. So it really does help, and a massive thank you to any of you guys who are Patreons. But on top of all the normal perks of early access videos, access to these save files from this rebuild that you can take over, I'm going to be doing something special. So on this series and in future series, I want you guys to really be involved. Anyone who is a paid Patreon member will be added to a draw where every time we do a rebuild like this, a long-term one, 5 of the new gen players will be named after you guys. So you can get your name in the save, you could watch yourself become the star player for our team, and who knows, maybe even help us win the Premier League in one of these rebuilds. So if that sounds interesting to you, come and check it out. But a massive thank you as always for the support. Don't worry, no more plugs. We'll get right in to how our team looks, and of course, this big transfer. And that was Riley Owen, who I realise is a player that by name none of us know. I have no clue who this guy is, but he comes in as an unbelievable option on the left mid position. And that's a place where really we have been lacking in recent years. The right side we've been good in, but the left not so much. Now, he is formerly of Tottenham and Brentford, so whilst I don't know him, clearly he's got pedigree, and our scouts are raving about him. Our coaches think he is going to be a top draw player, and he comes in as probably the most talented in the squad. And what's interesting is after those transfers, some players that you might not have thought would make our best 11 have done. I mean, Camerson is still our best right back and is unbelievable for this level, but Jules Saka is apparently coming in as one of our best defenders, so maybe he's going to be getting game time straight away. Great to see as well Neil Hoskins, who is the Welsh right mid 18-year-old who we picked up a couple seasons ago from Man City. He's really started to kick on, and actually he looks like one of our best, and we might end up losing him for a decent fee because he's someone that I could see going to the very top, or at least the championship, which for us at this stage seems miles away. Great to see our academy talent Chris Moore as well becoming a mainstay in the first team, and Riley Owen now is our best left wing, which means that Adu Ajay can go up front, and Nico Valentine, who has been playing on the wing, can also go up top, and that could mean big things because he is someone that in the right position can be deadly. I mean, we've got Lewis Orford on the bench who doesn't even make our first 11, Shaq Pope, Kelleher, Briggs. I think we built a really strong side here, and I'm interested to see how well we're predicted to do because the board think we should just fight bravely against relegation, aka they think we're going down. The games move us to 21st place prediction. Honestly, I thought we'd be up here, but last season we proved them all wrong. We ended up finishing near a playoff spot, so hopefully this year we can go one better and maybe get an automatic promotion place. So, if we're talking about my favourite series I've ever done on this channel, there's plenty that I've enjoyed, but this Dorking Wanderers save has the potential to be my very favourite because in Season 5, I mean, the drama already is just on another level, and let's get right into it. And I'm going to start with the FA Cup because for the first time in ages, we've actually managed to make the FA Cup third round. We faced off against Southampton and we went 1-0 up, and we looked like we might get a result against the Premier League side until eventually they went 2-1 up through Bednarek, and this could be huge for us financially if we could make the fourth round, and it looked like we had a chance when we scored a header with only a few minutes to go, but unfortunately Southampton had other ideas and our hopes came crushing down as right at the end of the game they scored, and it meant we did come out of the FA Cup in the third round, and we proved we could go against a team like Southampton and put up a really good fight. In fact, stats wise we deserved to win, so I was plenty happy with our performance, and actually in the league I was happy with the performances too because we were on fire, beating Forest Green 5-0, sticking 6 past Northampton, getting 4 away at Leyton Orient, and we got plenty of other great results like that. But unfortunately we did lose a few games as well, and it meant that come the end of the season we had just made it into the playoff spaces. So this really was our make or break chance of getting this rebuild back on track to get promoted to League One in Season 5, and in the first leg away from home we scored in the 90th minute to get a win. So we were leading Tranmere with a chance to get into the playoff final, and at home we managed to go 1-0 up through Adu Ajay, and we sealed what was a comfortable victory in the end as a Jules Saka corner found new gen Chris Moore, and that meant he had scored the goal to take us to a playoff final for the chance of making it to League One. And our opponents on the day were Cambridge United, and this was maybe one of the most dramatic games ever. Jules Saka, the Congolese man, managed to put us 1-0 up, and with only 15 minutes gone, we managed to make it 2 as Eubank cut in and a ball went in off Valentine's head. So we were cruising, promotion looked like it was going to be ours, but Cambridge United had different ideas, and with 20 minutes on the clock, they managed to make their way forward and a brilliant strike found the back of the net. So we were worried that Cambridge might get back into it, but thankfully, Valentine managed to poach onto a mistake to make it 3, and before we knew it, before half-time had even hit, we were 4-1 up in a playoff final and promotion was going to be ours. But I don't know what was said at half-time because Cambridge scored straight after and our 4-2 lead suddenly turned into 4-3. And in the 88th minute of all times, having had a 4-1 advantage, we conceded and it was 4-4. Extra time was looming. And at this point, I felt like we were going to bottle it. We had really let everything go, but late on, a ball into the box, found Goodyear into Shaq Polk, who scored, and that gave us the victory. Thankfully, we didn't mess it up from there. That meant we were heading to League One. And I think we deserve it, to be perfectly honest with you. It was so tight this season. Bolton in 7th place were only 8 points off winning the title, so you can see just how close it was across the course this year. But the standout man was our top goal scorer, Daniel Adu Ajay, who has managed to be a 25 goal a season striker, which I never expected when we picked him up. Valentine did great as well, as did Camisons and Neil Hoskins, who is now attracting the interest of Huddersfield all the way in the Championship. So there you go, that might be our first big sale, which we haven't really had just yet. We had Lewis Orford scoring 8, Asemi, a player from our academy, scoring 11 as well. So we are really smashing it here. A player I want to point out as well is Michael Eubank, a left back coming out of our academy who is developing really nicely. And actually, our dev centre is starting to produce a lot of very good young talents in our under-18s. We have been investing pretty heavily in it, and as you can see, our academy coaching and youth recruitment are way above the level that a team of our standard really should have. But it has been a fantastic season all around, so many contributors, and now we head into season 6, so we're in the second half now of this rebuild in League One. So there's still plenty of ways to go yet, but we have got a much better budget than before. In fact, if we send it all to the wages, we've got 20k of wage budget here that we could potentially bring in another 10 first team players with, or we can focus on real quality to take us to another level. Only time will tell what I can do in the transfer market, but I feel like we're doing well so far, so let's hope we can bring in some really good players to take us to another level, else we're realistically going to be facing a relegation battle. I can't lie to you guys, the season 6 transfer window, it's time to strap in because this is where it starts getting interesting. We've had big sales, loads of players coming in, and only time will tell if we've actually got better. Firstly, this sale actually happened last season in January, but David Corcoran, who we met earlier, had a release clause activated for £93,000. Not bad for bringing in a player for free, never playing him, and then selling him on for big profit to Go Away United. It might not look like a lot of money, but for us, that's a big deal. But one that was even more of a big deal was Neil Hoskins, who had interest from Huddersfield, but in the end was in a bidding war between a bunch of clubs. He's ended up going to West Brom in the Championship for 325k, which for us is a very good fee. Now, we probably could have got more, but he was one of them where he had a release clause, so he didn't really have a choice. Loads of teams bid for that amount, and eventually I'm sure he's going to go on to be a really big player. But for right now, we do lose the Welsh 19-year-old, but it meant we had big money to invest in our team. I shifted all of it to the wages, and we have signed some top talents for this season. I'm going to run through them pretty quickly, but first we have Andy Semley, an 18-year-old Welshman coming in to replace Hoskins on a free, formerly of Arsenal. Former Liverpool man Alex Norris is another new gem picked up on a small contract with the potential to go far. Andy Dunks from Manchester United, as is the 18-year-old Northern Irishman Kieran Woodburn. And they completed the transfers that I would consider ones for the future, but we have signed some players that go right into our first team as some of our best. Don't forget to like the video if you are still watching to this point and get involved in the comments, but let's see who we've signed in the final transfer window of this episode. Our first incoming that I think is a great one is Daniel Batty, an extremely good passer with 16 passing, 16 first touch, great vision and technique. A 22-year-old Englishman who comes in formerly of Spurs and West Brom, spent last season in League One already with Accrington Stanley, so he's done it before, he knows this level and will be a great addition to our lineup. We've got an unbelievably talented centre-back for our team's level at least, in 25-year-old former under-21 Scottish international Jeremy Chiloka Mullin, who is a player that is actually on one of our biggest contracts contracts at the club on £4,000 a week. Formerly of Liverpool and Leeds, he's ended up playing in the National League, in League One, the Championship, League Two. He's been all over the place, but there's clearly a good player in there, and he actually scored in his first game from defence, so I'm very happy to bring in this 6'2" centre-back. We've got a new best number one in between the sticks as well in Will Mannion, a 31-year-old goalkeeper who might not be the long-term option, but he has got experience in bags. He's been in League Two and League One over the last few years and will come in as our best keeper. But my number one signing this summer, in my opinion, is Christian Sadie, who is an English 27-year-old, also a Liberian player if he wants to go and play for them. He has been at Bournemouth and most recently Portsmouth, where in the Championship he was playing regular football. In League One, he has played a lot of football too, and whilst he might not look the great in terms of his average match ratings, there's a player here that I think we can get something out of. Strong, quick, in the right system. I think this guy could be our best player. He's on £4,000 a week, so I'm really hoping so. And he's valued at like 500k, so to get him for free, I think is a great deal. And now, if we take a look at our best 11 in this team, I'm actually starting to feel like we might have a chance this year, because in goal we've got a recognised keeper of this level. We've got Camerson, who is a very good right back again for this level. Michael Eubank has a big future, even if he isn't necessarily the world's best right now, whilst Jules Saka and Mullin could make a very good young defensive partnership. Valentine Moore, Norris and Riley Owen is a slightly worrying midfield, particularly in those central areas where it's two youngsters basically as our best, but I think Lewis Orford and Daniel Batty will have something to say about that. But it's a strike force I really am interested to see. Sadie as a pressing forward, and then Adu Ajay, our 6'2" striker, as our other man up top. I feel like this team could potentially cause an upset here, because actually we're expected to go right back down by the board and also by the game's prediction, with a 22nd place finish seeming most likely for us. Relegation is apparently on the cards, but we know we can prove people wrong. We've done it before, but really, if we want to achieve the 10-year Premier League win, with this now being season 6, we need promotion, because if not, we'll be in League 1 in season 7. Even if we then got promoted every single time, it'll be Championship in season 8, and not get into the Prem until season 9 with only 2 years in to win it. It would be near enough impossible if it doesn't happen this year, so we need to make sure this year we go straight up. And I can't lie to you guys, I feel like this might be one of the first times in a rebuild where I openly admit I think we're going to fail this challenge, because it is now season 6 at this point. In our first year in League One, it really did not start well. Our first game looked positive. Away against Walsall, we went 1-0 up and looked like we had a win in the bag. But unfortunately, very late on in the game, in the 88th minute, we saw Walsall come and score a goal very late on. So we had the win in the bag and we lost it. And to be honest, that kicked off a torrid first 2 months. We went on to lose our next game against Bristol City, before drawing the next 3 and then losing to Bradford City 2-0. So that was our first month in League One without a win, and the next month it continued. A draw, followed by a loss, then another draw, and that was then 2 months without a win, and it looked like things were going to be real tough this year, until a lucky cup match draw against Brentford's under-21s. And instead of resting our team in this EFL trophy match, we just went for it to get momentum up, and we absolutely smashed the youngsters, managing to beat them 10-2. And we kicked on from there. We started looking a little bit better, not perfect mind you, but we got some great results, none more so than in a match against former Premier League side Watford. And away at their stadium, we got off to a great start, scoring after only 3 minutes, and we made it 2 after only 41, Sadie scoring again. Watford, though, did manage to hit back, and it was that man Willa Sula again who managed to make it 2-2. Straight after the second half, though, Sadie danced into the area and managed to make his hat-trick with his 3rd goal of the game. But with 96 minutes on the clock, Watford equalised. But we didn't give in. We got a free kick straight from the centre. It came in, and only 30 seconds after Watford's goal, we scored and we won the game against what is a way stronger Watford team. So I was delighted with that, amongst many other results this year. And despite a huge upturn in form, that first bit of the season absolutely killed us, because we ended up finishing in 7th place, 73 points, 2 points off a playoff spot. We won 19, we drew 16 games, and we lost 11. I mean, we were good. We just needed to really get those results early on. Too many draws, convert a few of them, and we could have easily been in the playoffs. In the form we were in, I think we would have got promoted too. We were way better than all of those other clubs around us. 2 of the league's best goal scorers played for us as well. Our front 2 scoring a bunch of goals. Sadie coming in and scoring 21. Now valued, by the way, we might have to try and sell this guy. Huddersfield are interested, and he's valued at potentially about 5 million. That might be an overinflation, but that could completely change this save, and that's something to look forward to in the next episode potentially. Adu Ajay was brilliant again, 24 goals in League One, proving he can do it at any level currently that we're playing at. And there was some top performers other than that too. Shakpo, who we picked up early on, scoring 13 in League One. Valentine and Owen also doing great. We had Eubank develop nicely in that left back spot. A lot of the youngsters doing good too, like Jules Saka, who is now a very good centre-back option for this level. But look, that could be huge. The fact that we now have players valued at that kind of money is insane. I mean, there's a few here, all upwards, who we could sell potentially for 500k or more, which could completely change the course of this save now, actually. Transfer budget-wise, we're going in with actually not that much. If we adjust it to the wages, we haven't actually got any money to spend. This is going to be tough. We might have to sell some of our players. We have been improving the facilities at the club by a massive standard though. Our academy coaching and youth recruitment is excellent, but we have a lot to look forward to in our next episode, because we're going to sell some players now, hopefully, for huge money, and this could completely change the way this save's going. I thought it could be over, but with those valuations, maybe we could save ourselves and potentially still do this in only 10 years. I've been attempting one of the most impossible challenges in all of Football Manager. I tried to take a team in the 6th tier of English football to winning the Premier League in only 10 seasons, and I've got to say so far, it's broke me. I took over as Dorking manager when they were in the 6th tier with the aim of winning that Premiership title, but now, 7 seasons in, we're still sitting in League One, and it's going to take a miracle if we're going to pull this off in 10 seasons. But I'm going to do what I can. But so far here at Dorking, we've actually done a pretty good job. We've managed to get one of the best youth systems in the country, despite only being in League One, and whilst we aren't doing well in terms of trying to win the Prem in 10 seasons, we've certainly made steady progress. I just think I might have set the expectation a little too high on myself. Now, last season in League One, we narrowly missed out on the playoffs, finishing in 7th place and only 2 points away from what could have been a potential opportunity to go up to the Championship and kind of keep our target on track. But as fate would have it, we're now spending another year in the 3rd tier of England, with odds really to get relegated. Yes, there's a 50-1 chance to win the league, but the game's expecting us to be in a relegation battle with 21st place predicted. But we've done a pretty good job so far of bringing in the right players to try and take this team to another level, and in this summer, in season 7 out of 10, I've nailed it, I think, in the transfer window. Because we made a record transfer fee for our Dorking side, who in 1999 were founded in the Sunday League, and now here they are in 2029, only 30 years later, in League One, and selling a player on for 1.9 million. This is Christian Sadie, who we bought in from Portsmouth last year on a free. He scored 21 goals in 39 games, and now Serie A side Parma have bought him for 1.9 million. So we've made a nice bit of money, and that really helped us financially in terms of being able to bring some extra players in. And we were also able to add to that transfer pot with a sale that I didn't really want to do but was taken out of my hands. Our right back, Jaden Camerson, who I thought could potentially go all the way to the Prem, is somebody that I had big hopes for, but last season did not want to extend his deal. He decided that he was going to leave at the end of this transfer window, so I thought the former Manchester United man, we may as well try and get a fee for him. So after 2 games this year, he's moved on for £300,000, which gave us over £2 million to spend on a Dorking team where so far we've only bought in free transfers and we've never signed anyone for real cash. So this was the first time we actually had a decent budget to improve the squad. And job number 1 was to replace Jaden Camerson at right back and also improve our general depth in that area. So I think we've got a brilliant signing here by getting Steven Sessegnon, the Ivorian international at 30 years of age, in as a star player on a 1.8 grand a week contract, which is pretty low for what kind of player he is. He's coming in having been at West Brom most recently, but he has been playing League One and Championship football for a while, so he knows this level, he can play in both areas, and I think he's going to be a great addition to our team. But looking to the future, I was able to sign a young player that again I think could go all the way to a Premier League level, which will help because we have lost Camerson, which of course was a huge loss to take. But Ricardo Phillips is the player we bought in, a new gen 21-year-old Trinidad and Tobago international who we have bought in from Nottingham Forest, having been let go there on a free transfer. He hasn't played all that much in his career just yet, but he has a big future and could go on to be a superb player for our side. We needed some extra depth on the wings in our 4-4-2 shape that we've been playing, so I've decided to bring in Harvey Vincent, an English 23-year-old who's got some electric pace and can operate on either side. Now, he's more of a winger than he is a left or right mid, but we can definitely train him to be able to play that area. We have bought him, having been let go from Leeds, on a £3,000 a week deal, and at age 23, he is probably one of our best talents. But to keep that depth coming on those wide areas where we have struggled to find players in the past, I've been able to sign another one to help our team, a new gem by the name of Paul Moore, a Northern Irish 21-year-old who has been let go by Burnley. We swooped him, given him a contract, and that's kind of the vibe we've been going for here, buying these players that have been let go by the bigger clubs and hoping that they made a mistake. But the one that might make the biggest difference for us this year is the replacement for Sadie, who of course left for around 2 million. We have bought in a player on loan to replace him for the season from Manchester United. His name is Ben Haywood. The game has labelled him as the next Michael Owen potentially, which if he's anywhere near that level, he's certainly going to help us in League One. As far as strikers go in this division, it's unheard of really to get a player of this quality. I think he's that good, and we're only paying 600 quid a week for him. We just got to hope Manchester United don't recall him, because he probably good enough to play for their first team with a little bit of growth. That's how good this kid is, and we have got him for the season. A £10 million man, definitely the best player to have played for Dorking ever at this stage, and I'm hoping he's going to be a big part of what we try to do this season. Now, we have been operating in a 4-4-2 system during the course of this rebuild, and right now we are going to keep sticking with it, with some players that I think we can be really proud of having carried them up the divisions, like Michael Eubank, who came out of our academy all those years ago and is now a League One level player. The same with Jules Saka. We picked him up from Newcastle a couple of seasons back, and now he's making his own way in the team, age 20, as one of our best. We've got Daniel Ajay as well, who of course was so good for us in his first few seasons, scored 24 goals in League One, bagged it in League Two as well. Hopefully he can have another good season for us. But for all the good players I think we've got, and for the business I think we've done, remember, we're still predicted to near enough get relegated, so clearly our squad is not at the level of the other teams in this division, but we're going to give it our best shot. With this being season 7, we need to get promoted if we have any chance of completing our 10-year challenge. Now, after the last transfer window, I felt like I made some pretty good signings that could surprise the league and maybe help us do well after just missing out on the playoffs last year. And I've got to say, I'm a transfer genius. We got it bang on the money. Because we were amazing this season, managing to get some top results like when we went to AFC Wimbledon and we stuck 5 past them. But that wasn't the only top result, because when we went away to Carlisle, we managed to put 5 past them too in another 5-0 win. And outside of that, there was a bunch of other great victories as well. In fact, we won 6 games by the margin of 4-0 this season, one of which was against Crewe. And you might have noticed a lot of the goals that you saw scored there were by that man that we bought in from Man United on loan, Ben Haywood. And I've got to say, lots of players played well, but he was unbelievable, because he pretty much single-handedly has taken us to the championship, winning the league with 90 points, 6 points clear of Birmingham and 7 of Bradford City, who also go up with us. We lost 10, we drew 9, a goal difference of 43, but what I want to point out is how good of a signing this was. Remember, we're paying 600 quid a week to United for the top goal scorer in the league's best player, and also the guy with the most assists. This is a striker that can do it all. Daniel Ajay was also absolutely fantastic up front with 16 goals, but all credit has to go to Ben Haywood with 28 in the league, 14 assists as well. A generational performance in League One and one of the best that we'll ever see in this division, I would have thought. He was unbelievable. Daniel Ajay was great as well. New signing Harvey Vincent also stepped up, and Steven Sessegnon was another one of our best players, as was Ricardo Phillips, and it kind of just proves the players we brought in have been the ones that have made the difference. I think a lot of these guys can easily be championship quality. We're not going to be expected to do very well, but we'll do our best in the championship to try and stay up, survive. And I say that's going to be our aim instead of getting promoted, because despite the fact that we haven't really got that long left of this rebuild, the championship is going to be tough. We've been given 500 grand pretty much of transfer budget, barely anything in the wages. The only way this is going to work is if we have a huge sale or something like that, because right now we're definitely not championship ready, and with only Season 8, Season 9, Season 10, 3 seasons to go left in this challenge, We have to get this bang on. And this transfer window in the Championship has been an exciting one. You can tell this rebuild is ramping up now as we get towards the end, because we've had some big sales, and also I think we've signed some stars for the future. Before we see them though, if you are watching this video, you're on episode 3, you must be enjoying it by now. If you could smash the like button, it really would mean a lot and would help the videos massively. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do that as well on the road to 50k subs, and comment down below what challenge you'd like to see next. A big thank you for all the support, but let's start off with our sales, where we've made an instant flip on a free transfer in Harvey Vincent, the lad that we picked up last season on a £3 a week contract, got 9 goals, 9 assists, played well, income Sampdoria of Italy for 2.9 million, and take him off our hands. It's been a big sale for us, gave us a lot of cash compared to the budget we originally had. He's getting a mega wage there too, makes his way up to play in Italy, so good luck to him, but that meant more money for us. And we also made a nice bit of cash on Jeremiah Chalokwa-Mullin, who is a 27-year-old Scot that we picked up in our first season in League One, but really stepped up to the plate at centre-back last year, and now he moves back to the Scottish First Division for 1.2 million. The former Liverpool man will be playing for Kilmarnock, and that raised nearly £4 million for us to reinvest in our squad. And this was by far the biggest budget we've had in this rebuild up to this point, which meant we could sign some great players. But before we see them, if you'd like to get access to this rebuild yourself and play it, you can find the links to the save files over on my Patreon, linked in the description. It is the best place to support me financially as a creator, and a massive thank you to you guys who are already over there. You help pay for an editor, thumbnail designer. I reinvest the money to make the content better for you guys, so a big thank you for any of the support. Not only do you get the save files for this rebuild and every rebuild we've ever done, you also get early access to the videos, rebuild polls as well to decide what we do next on the channel, general updates and unique content over there as well. And we're going to be introducing, for these long form series, a feature where a few patrons will get picked out to have new gens in the game named after them. So Ben Haywood could have been, you know, John Smith or whoever it is that joins the Patreon, and you can watch yourself go on and maybe help us win the Premier League, win the Champions League in these saves. So if that sounds interesting, go check it out. I'd massively appreciate it. But let's now see who we brought in. My first new addition to the team is a player that I think will go on to be a Welsh international, 22-year-old Jason Williams, a player that we have signed from Manchester City, having been let go from them, having been out on loan in Belgium for a couple of years. He was with Reading in League One a couple seasons ago, but now at 22 has been released, and I think is a great player. Might be a 5'9" centre-back, but we're going to bring him into our squad and hopefully have him as one of our mainstays at the back. Speaking of Welshmen, we've also picked up 22-year-old Nathan Andrews, an option at defence who isn't going to be a starter but will operate as a squad level player, signing from Cardiff, having been let go from there. Clearly though, we love a Welshman because we've gone out and signed another one, a right back that can play centre-back in the form of Dave Williams, a 21-year-old who has the potential again to be a Welsh international. Now, he was at Watford and has been let go by them, and I think we've got ourselves a pretty good player here. I mean, he was playing regular League One football at 21 already for a team that in Watford you'd assume is better than ours, so you know what? This could be a great addition. I felt like our goalkeeper position needed some extra reinforcement as well, so we went out and signed a player that I think is at least championship quality in Woody Williamson, a 25-year-old goalkeeper with a brilliant name who was let go by Ipswich, but has played for Bolton in League 2, played for Scunthorpe in the National League North, and has featured occasionally. He was Ipswich's backup during their time in the Championship. So for us, I think he'll be a nice player to have. But now I'm going to start ramping it up in terms of player quality. First signing for us was Kean Coke Miles Smith. He's a left mid coming in to replace Vincent that is arguably just as good, if not better, having been let go by Reading, where he has already been playing Championship football, but quality-wise is one of our best in that area. But the next few I'm about to show you are the ones that I think could take us to glory here in the Championship. Coming in first was Mohamed Jame, a 22-year-old Swedish international who is one of our best players and can operate as a striker with electric pace, acceleration and agility. He comes in having been let go by Fulham, spent last season in Croatia and did well, never really got the crack at Fulham, but he is someone that I really think could be a top level Championship player with that speed. But without Ben Haywood here, we needed a main man up top to be our striker in the Championship, so Mark Guiu is a fantastic player for us to pick up. The former Barcelona and Chelsea man in this save never got the crack at Chelsea, went out to Reading, Coventry, MK Dons in League 2, so he's been playing at a really low level, and eventually Chelsea have let him go. We've picked him up, and actually, I don't know how he was playing in League 2, because right now, this guy's good enough to be a top level Championship striker, and we've managed to sign him at Dorking Wanderers. Barcelona to Dorking. A bit of a switch, but we're not going to complain. But our strike force has been bolstered even further now because Marc Guiu is going to be partnered by David Luke, who is an Austrian international, 7 appearances, 2 goals, 22-year-old, who we have picked up as a free agent, having been let go by Forest. He was signed from Man City, loaned out to Australia. No idea how he hasn't had a crack anywhere because he looks like a great option. Huge potential as well, and we have got a real bargain here managing to sign him for our team. I've also picked up another speedster for the right-hand side, an Estonian international 21-year-old Jarmo Jarv, who already has 41 caps for his national side at only 21. And then for the first time, I've spent money on a player, signing Colin Fleming for our midfield area for 190,000 from Spurs. Our scouts rated him really highly. They think he could go to the top. So at age 22, he's going to come in and be a real talent for us in the midfield. And finally, we do have a loanee. Coming in on loan from Sunderland is Sam Crosdale, who is going to be our best right wing. Formerly of Liverpool, he's someone that will feature quite often, I would assume, on that right-hand side where there's not that much competition, and hopefully will do a great job for us. But this is what is now considered our best 11, and it's changed quite a lot over the last few seasons. Williamson is our best goalkeeper, while Sessegnon, who is going to be leaving us at the end of this year, doesn't want to sign a new deal, is still our best right back, but I'm sure we'll have Ricardo Phillips trying to battle for that area too. Williams and Saka is a back line alongside Eubank, with Crosdale on the right. Valentine supposedly still as our best left wing. The Jamaican 26-year-old joined us in the National League and is still a key player for us in our side. We'll see if he can take the step up to the Championship. New signing Colin Fleming partners Terry Devlin in midfield, and then it's a totally new strike force of Luke and Guiu, who I'm hoping together can cause some chaos in the Championship. Now, prediction-wise, the board just want us to, give it a good go to stay up. They wouldn't even mind if we got relegated, and actually the game thinks we are going to get relegated in the 22nd place spot. 250 to 1 odds of winning the title. Near enough impossible at season 8 though. If we're going to win the Prem in 10 seasons, this is where it needs to happen. We need to get promoted to give ourselves 2 seasons to have a crack at the Prem. It'll be pretty tough, but we're going to go for it in a Championship. First aim is survive. Okay, everybody hold your horses, because I thought this rebuild was done and dusted. In 10 seasons, winning the Prem looked impossible considering last year we were in League 1. In Season 7, we got promoted, and now in the Championship, we made it to the playoffs. And only just 2, because in the last game it was between us and Sheffield United for the final playoff space, and Marc Guiu scored in a 5-1 victory against QPR. And interestingly, in that game it was all new signings, 5 different new signings that scored the goal. So clearly our transfers were working well, and now here we were in the playoffs with a chance of making it to the Prem. And our first opponents were Birmingham, a team that came up with us from League 1, showing that it is actually possible and it's not just a fluke from us to get into the playoffs. And Marc Guiu got us off to a flyer at our home stadium. And in the second half, the joy continued as Fleming found Miles Coke-Smith, who tucked it to Guiu, who got his second of the game. And we put ourselves in a great position in the first leg as Marc Guiu scored a header to get his hat-trick and put his 3-0 up. But we weren't done, because in the 90th minute of leg 1, we added an extra goal as Valentine got his head to the ball. It came out to Eubank, our academy player, who scored one of the best goals you'll ever see. Birmingham, though, weren't giving up easily, and Jay Stansfield managed to score a consolation towards the end. And that was that. After leg 1, we were 4-1 up. We managed to win the next game 1-0 at Birmingham Stadium, sending us to Wembley with one shot to make it to the Prem in our first season in the Championship. Our opponents on the day were Sunderland, with a side that featured the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi. They would have expected to get the win, and it was a tight game until the 83rd minute where Terry Devlin scored, and somehow, we made it to the Premier League in our first season in the Championship. I say somehow, there's a good reason why we did it. And it's called elite transfer business, because we brought in some unbelievable talents that came in and did the business straight away. Our best 4 players, all players signed this year. First, Marc Guiu, with 27 goals altogether, 23 in the league, and an unbelievable season. Up next, Sam Crosdale, in on loan from Sunderland, the team whose promotion place we took. He was great for us this year, with 20 assists from the right wing. Exceptional stuff. David Luke partnered Guiu and played the support role basically next to him, with 2 assists and 19 goals in an unbelievable year. And then there's Mohamed Jammeh, the player that was basically our 3rd choice up front, so he'd come in for the last 20 minutes of every game, used that raw pace, and scored 14 goals and assisted 7. Steven Sessegnon scored 10, but it was great to see the likes of Jules Saka, who's been here for so long, doing so well for us. On top of that, we had Michael Eubank, who scored 1 goal all season, and it was that screamer performer in the playoffs. Our academy man carrying us all the way to the Premier League. Nico Valentine as well, scoring 4 goals, and he's still got another couple of years on his deal. This is a man that joined us in the National League, and now he'll be playing Premier League football. It's great to see. We've done an unbelievable job here so far at Dorking, and now for the moment of truth. We go into the Premier League with a budget of £27 million. Dorking Wanderers have 27 mil to spend. This club is going places, and now as we head into season 9, we've got 2 years to complete this challenge of trying to win the Prem. So here we are, 9 seasons on from taking over as Dorking manager in the National League South, and now we're in the Premier League. With this being our 9th season, we need to win it this year or next if we want to hit our target in this rebuild. And to make sure we do that, we needed some new signings, and I think I've done a pretty good job. Firstly, one for the future, Saudi Arabian international 19-year-old Jamal Sufyani has joined the club on a 21 grand a week contract. He comes in from Al Hilal, and that's going to be a new thing, by the way. Giving out pretty big contracts compared to the back in the day when we were paying people 100 quid to play for us. Now, a lot of our players who have been here for ages were asking for new deals, so a lot of people have got some big contracts with them now. But of course, we now have money to spend, and we started to spend it. We weren't just bringing in free transfers. We signed Tommy Casey, a 22-year-old Republic of Ireland international, signing from Wolves for 325k. Uruguayan 20-year-old Andres Vasquez has joined us also. He signs from Wanderers out in Uruguay for £400,000, a bargain really. We have a new goalkeeper between the sticks, a much higher quality one at that as well. Woody Williamson is out, and Timothy Lo Tutalala is in goal. 29-year-old who is playing for Paris FC, that has been at Spurs, Stevenage, Hull and West Brom across the course of this save. We also spent 500k on one for the future in Seydina Koulibaly, a Senegalese international who we've loaned back out to the club we signed him from in Generation Foot. 500k is a bargain really for what we've got here. Jesus Contreras was our next player coming in, a 21-year-old Venezuelan international who already has 36 caps for his nation, has big potential, and is signed for Caracas for 775k. 1 million was then spent on 21-year-old Uruguayan Julio Cesar Aires. Now you might be thinking you signed too many players in one position. The idea here is to try and buy as many young players as possible in the hopes a few of them could be, you know, big profit players. Some won't make it, but some hopefully will sell for big money having shined their light in the Prem, and we've only paid 1 million to Liverpool FC for his signature. We then had Manchester United fullback Carrier Mass joining the club at age 25. He's actually been out at Swansea and Walsall in this save. In the Championship he didn't really play, but he comes in as competition for Eubank at left back, and I think will be a great addition to our lineup. Then there was Gergely Toth, a 22-year-old Serbian under-21 international with a name that I absolutely love, to be honest with you. We've signed him for 1.4 million from TSC in Serbia, and he isn't exactly amazing just yet, but I think he could be great. But our biggest signing was a very good talent in my eyes in Alejandro Guerra, who is the Ecuadorian international 23-year-old who we've signed from Leicester for 3.3 mil, a record-breaking transfer for our club. But we haven't exactly broke the bank with the signings we've made, and I still think our team is much improved. Because to be honest, we are making a big reliance on youth here. This is a very young side, and I'm hoping we survive this season in the Prem, and then these players are the ones that will grow and help us win the league. I don't think they're necessarily at that level just yet, of course. We can't compete at the minute with the other Prem clubs. Our reputation, because we've been promoted so quickly, is still super low. If you have a look, we've only got a 3-star rep, which is basically low-level championship. We're not exactly attracting the world's best talents here, but we're doing our best with it. We've got a very good team, and I actually didn't show you this guy who we brought in as well, Claudio Petrilia, who looks like a Romanian Stefan El Sharari, to be honest with you. 31 years of age, a bit of experience, coming in from Millwall, formerly been in the Romanian divisions before that, but he was always good for Millwall in the Championship, so this might actually be a pretty big coup for us. But this is now our best 11, and it is pretty much changed completely from what we had only a couple of years ago. In fact, I mean, yeah, there's no one left from pre-championship era, at least not in the first 11. Some of those players like Saka and Valentine are still on the bench, and our team is now ready to go in the Premier League, where the board just wants us to fight bravely against relegation, but after the transfers, the game thinks we are going to finish in 20th place, 1,000 to 1 odds of winning the title. They don't usually give those odds since Leicester won the league way back when, but here we are, our 2 best players are considered the 2 worst best players in the division also, so maybe we're not going to stay up after all, but if we want to complete this challenge in 10 seasons, we need solidity this year and then win it in the next. And I can't lie to you, in the Premier League this year, we really struggled, to be honest with you, and we got some terrible results, particularly at the start of the season. For example, in November, we faced off against Crystal Palace in a month where we didn't win a single game or pick up a single point, and we lost 6-1 to Palace on the day. And we really were being shown the difference in quality between these Premier League sides and our Dorking side, who realistically are probably only about as good for the Championship. We lost again 3-0 to Villa, and there was many other losses included in that. We did not draw many games at all. We lost the majority, but thankfully, we picked up a few wins here and there in games you might not have expected. And really, it all started in a match against Manchester United. In a packed stadium, we had Man United come to Dorking Wanderers, and we went 1-0 up against them in the 28th minute. And only a couple minutes later, it looked like this might be the game to end our bad spell, as Guevara got in the box and found Valentine, the man from the National League, scoring in the Prem. But of course, United have quality, they have money, and have a way better squad. And they got back into the game later on, as Bailly found Hoyland for his first of the game, but unfortunately just before the half-time whistle, Hoyland got his head to another ball to make it 2-2. But as time ticked on, in the 73rd minute, we managed to find what might have been the winner through a great strike from Phillips. But I don't think United wanted the embarrassment of losing to Dorking, because with 77 minutes on the clock, they got down our right-hand side and made it 3-3. But this game was nowhere near done yet, and Mark Guiu made sure of that with a great header to make it 4-3. And right from the centre, guess what? There was another goal, this time going back to Manchester United, as Arda Güler managed to breeze past our defence, found Alex Varley, who scored the equaliser. But we had worked too hard in this game to let it go, so only 1 minute later after that, Harry Amas went down the left to Patria, who played the cross in, found Mark Guiu, and he scored again. And with only a minute left, Mark Guiu got on the ball, got his hat-trick, and secured the biggest victory in Dorking Wanderers history, beating Manchester United 6-4, and that was amongst a few other good results, which carried us to an unbelievable 15th place finish, which isn't as good as it sounds because we were only 2 wins away from relegation. It was a very tight year this year, 30 points Southampton, 30 points Villa, 31 points Norwich, but Fulham and Wolves did worse than us. We had a minus 24 goal difference. We didn't draw many games at all. We actually lost the most of any team in the league with 23 losses, but we won a few games. I mean, we won 11, some great results as well, getting some victories out of nowhere that you wouldn't expect. Currently, by the way, it is Arsenal whose dominance we're going to have to topple because they've won it for the last 4 years, but we were so good this season because of one man, Mark Guiu. This man was the second best goal scorer in the division and was the reason that we survived with 23 Premier League goals. An unbelievable signing, really, for how well we were able to pick him up on a free transfer. Honestly, the man to keep us up, it was him. If we have a look as well, by the way, we are currently expanding our stadium, but for quite a lot of this season, we were playing in, I think it was the AFC Wimbledon Stadium, so we weren't actually playing at home at Meadowbank, but we have maxed out our youth facilities at this point, and we have stayed up in the Prem, which is huge news for our Dorking side. And it wasn't just Guiu that did well. Chris Moore also did well when called upon, our academy man that's been with us since the National League South. Great to see him scoring a Prem goal, our academy developed player going from the bottom division to the top and scoring, which is something that I wanted at some point in this save. David Luke scored 14, Jamie scored 2, lots of great performers in the defence as well. Colin Fleming was excellent, Michael Eubank, when called upon, did well. Our goalkeeper had a good season too, and we've just managed to stay up. And unbelievably, we will be spending our season 10 in the Prem. So there's actually a chance we could do this. £46 million in the overall balance, crazy stuff. Debts and loans, there's nothing. We've got £55 million of transfer budget, and as we head into the last season, who knows what's going to happen. Now, for those of you wondering, by the way, Mark White is no longer in charge of the club because he left us last season as owner and we had someone new take his place. He didn't sell the club, someone just got promoted and took his job, so he's moved on as Mark White. But here we are as Dorking Wanderers with a £55 million transfer budget, and you best believe I'm going to go spend that. And in season 10, we went for it in the transfer market. I think we've massively improved our team. Before I show you that though, this is the last time I'll ask in the video. If you are still watching, either you fell asleep or you're enjoying it, and if you are awake, hit that like button for me, it would mean a lot. But just to let you know, this is the last season of the challenge to win the league in 10 years. It's what we've aimed to do, the impossible rebuild. But should we not win it in this season, this video will continue it until we win the Prem, because I want to make sure that we finish off this challenge. Even if it takes us longer than it was meant to, I still want to do it. I'm having so much fun with this save. So strap yourselves in. Either this could be the end of the video, or there might be a few more seasons after this. Who knows? Hopefully you don't look down now and see the video is 2 hours long, else maybe it hasn't gone quite so well, but we have done really well in the transfer market. We made some money on the sales front, mainly from this guy, Sam Chambers, a Scottish international formerly of Leeds United, who we picked up last year. I forgot to show him through our transfer list because we signed so many players last season, but he joined us, actually played way more than I thought he would, mainly off the bench, and is now left at 5.5 mil. Gurgly Toff, whose name that I loved, but he wasn't a very good player, we sold on straight away. Our scouts really got this one wrong, but we have made a big profit. He was never considered good enough for the team. Terry Devlin, the man that scored the playoff goal to take us to the Premier League, has moved on, and it kind of shows you the level of players we were working with when he's a player that's only about good enough for Stockport at the lower levels of League One. But on the incomings front, I think we have massively improved the side with some players that have really bright futures. Firstly, Elias Pino was my first signing, a Chilean 19-year-old international from Colo Colo for 1.8 mil, which is great value for what we've got. Abu Kargbo is going to be our new right-wing option, a Dutch 24-year-old signing from Southampton for 2.5 million, where I think actually they've underused him. He's clearly a very good player. Maybe our best signing so far, though, is Andrei Razvan Sibelica, who is a Romanian 19-year-old international who we have loaned back out for the season to Farao Constantanta. He cost us 3.4 mil, but we bid out Inter Milan for his signature, so clearly there's a player there, and actually, at 19, he's probably good enough for us already, so next season, hopefully he'll be even better. But I also signed another good young player in 21-year-old Norwegian international Pau Lorentzen Dale, whose name I have probably butchered, but we bought him in from Bodo Glimt for 3.4 million as an excellent signing in the midfield. We've got a new goalkeeper as well, a Mexican international 21-year-old who's already playing for his national team, signing from Pumas for 4 million. His name is Jesus Esquivel, and he has big potential. As does Amir Collins, our new left wing, an English 23-year-old who we've picked up from Manchester City for 5.25 million. Again, another great option to improve our wing areas. But our biggest signing was Onyekashi Akpan, a German 21-year-old international who we have spent 21 million pounds on from Man United. They were kind of discarding him, but I think he could be one of our best players, can play left back and right back, and after Steven Sessegnon left, it's time for him to step up and be our new main man in the defence. Now for this final season, season 10 of trying to complete the challenge, I will stick with a 4-4-2 because it's got us so far. It's probably not the best tactic to actually try and win it. We've got to at least give it one shot of trying to win the Prem with this system. Now our best 11 is a pretty interesting one, to be honest, because a lot of these guys did join us way back when we were in the Championship, so that's great to see they're still with us now, like Fleming, Williams, the other Williams, Phillips as well. So we are building a strong squad here, but our strike force is the thing that I think could really guide us. Mark Guiu and Luke together, I'm hoping, can be a deadly duo. Now if we have a look, the board still just want us to give it a fair crack of staying up. We're still predicted to go down 1,000 to 1 odds, so clearly we're not as good as I think we are, but last season we proved everyone wrong, and today we're going to try and do it again by trying to win the Premier League with Dorking Wanderers. Cross your fingers, everyone. Don't check the timestamp at the video. Let's see if we do it. Okay, there's two ways we can look at this season that we've just had in season 10. If we're being realistic, we would say we've had a great year. This is way better than we should be doing, and our players have done us proud. But just because of the challenge, I can't help but feel like it's a failure because, spoiler alert, we didn't win the league. And I knew that wasn't going to happen because after about a month into the season, we were really struggling, and it was only towards the end that we started to pick it up, getting results like a 3-1 win against Palace, a 92nd minute win against Brentford as well, and sticking 3 goals past a pretty poor Nottingham Forest side. But it was all a little bit too little too late. We started the season slow, picked it up, and like I say, we didn't complete the challenge, but we did have a good year. Because we hit that grand 40-point total that every club afraid of relegation aims for, we finished in 13th place, not bad at all, with 41 points. 32 points was the relegation zone, so there's plenty of clubs in between us and relegation, so we can start now looking up instead of backwards. 12 wins this year, still way too many losses. I think our tactic has affected us in a pretty big way defensively, to be honest. In fact, if you actually have a look at the team detailed stats of this season, I think we've got the most goals conceded out of anyone. Yes, we have 93. The next closest was 71. So we need to shut up shop. Either that or our defense isn't very good at all. We're actually pretty good in terms of goal scoring, but defensively, we need to make a change. So I think I will adjust the tactic for this coming season. But there were some great performers I think we can be happy with. David Luke was fantastic once again. A player that's been getting better and better during his time here at Dorking. Mark Guiu, of course, excellent once more. And Dale, the Norwegian midfielder, he managed to score a bunch. Akpan man was great. Petrilla was also really good in his last season for us, the Romanian. And yeah, all round, a good season, but we didn't hit our target. So now what we're going to do is we're going to continue this rebuild. I might go a bit quicker through the seasons from this point until we eventually win it, but we've got £56 million to spend. The club is in a great place. We're still working on the facilities. We're improving the stadium. Our reputation is still pretty low, but financially, the club is doing really nicely. And Mark White, if you're watching, I've got your club to now be valued at 927 million. Nearly a £1 billion valuation for Dorking. If that's not a good sign that we've done something right, I don't know what is. But let's go and take a look at what signings we bring in season 11. So here we are, 1 year after the rebuild was meant to be complete with a big budget, and we spent it. I'm aiming to win the league, and we have gone for it with the players we've bought through. And at this point, we are now starting to find the wonder kids that I think could actually be Premier League level winners at some point in the future. Predrag Djevic is our first one, a Serbian right back, 20-year-old who could go to the very top. Johan Ubeda is a fantastic Spanish left winger with brilliant agility that we picked up for only 3.8 million. Formerly of Atletico Madrid, he is a high caliber option on the left. He'll have competition though, because South Korean 21-year-old Kim Byung-ju looks like he could be one of the world's best wingers. 5 million from the South Korean leagues, where he has electric pace and agility, amazing dribbling and crossing. This guy would be so much fun to watch in real life. We've got a new left back as well, 25-year-old Darren Wooden, signing from Coventry for a fee of £7 million, where I think he could be a great addition in that left back area. Centre back has been improved with a Norwegian 25 capped international at only 23 in Ingvar Skabu, who has joined us from Bournemouth for 8 million on the transfer list there. We spent £9 million on another goalkeeping option to really add some competition between the sticks. Rhys Colwill is a Welsh international, the Welsh international, formerly of Liverpool, then of Leeds, and he is now our main man in goal. But my biggest signing for £9 million was Alex Martin Gomez, adding some extra depth to the midfield for a midfielder at age 24 who was attracting interest from some big clubs. We signed him on a release clause, formerly of Madrid. We picked him up from Elche, and he is going to be straight in our first team, straight in our best 11, almost certainly. If we have a look now at what that best 11 is, you'll see that we have adjusted our best 11 slightly, because I am now going for a 4-3-3 system. I didn't think we were quite ready for 4-2-3-1, a little bit more expansive in attacking. I want us to be solid defensively first. I think we have the attacking talent now especially, but defensively I do think we are still lacking. So we're really going to put the focus on having bodies back, keep the ball at the back of the net, and trust our attacking talents to do the rest. Of course, this season we do have Siblica, the Romanian midfielder who was out on loan last year, who's got better and better. He's going to come into the first team, and in fact I imagine it will look something like this when we're ready to go at some point in this season. A very good midfield lineup here. Guevara, who we picked up from Leicester, has got better and better too. The only unfortunate part of this is the one striker system will mean that Guiu is now only going to become our backup striker, but he'll still be extra useful. And if we have a look, for once, are we predicted not to finish last? We're not. Cardiff are expected to be just as bad as our Bristol City. Clearly nowhere near winning the league title just yet. With this young side, they might just need time, and who knows, this could be the one. And so far, during this rebuild with Dorking, silverware hasn't really came our way. In fact, we ended up going through the playoffs and second place in most of our promotions. I think we won the League 1 title and maybe the Vanarama National League, but they're the only trophies we've picked up in this save. No FA trophy, no Johnston Paint, nothing like that. We haven't won any trophies. So this year it was extra special when we made the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Our opponents on the day were Middlesbrough, who were doing quite well in this save actually, and they went 1-0 up at their home stadium to secure a victory in leg 1. But when you come to the Dorking Wanderers Stadium, it's a different kettle of fish, still with a very small capacity, but in the 67th minute, we managed to get back in the game after an own goal went in. So into extra time we went, with a chance of making it into a Carabao Cup final and get our hands on our first bit of silverware. Casey found Sablika, who hit a brilliant shot past Trafford to get us the win. And with that, it was time for a final. A Carabao Cup final at Wembley, a big day out for Dorking, and we were facing off against a pretty good team in Arsenal, who, if you remember right, have been winning the league non-stop in this save so far. And there was absolute bedlam in the stadium after only 2 minutes. Jules Saka powered a header home, a man that we bought in back in League 1, helping us to a Carabao Cup win, or so we thought, because Martinelli came up the other end and scored a goal. But there was still one more goal in the match to be had, and it was King Buon-Ju, who we saw had amazing dribbling earlier, and he went past the whole Arsenal team, powered home, and that won us a Carabao Cup. It's not the Premier League in 10 years like we were aiming for, but I was so proud to finally win something with our Dorking team, which of course as well qualifies us for Europe next year. But you know what, everyone? We would have had it anyway, because we finished in 7th place above Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, 67 points, miles away from Man United, who have won the league for the last 2 years, Bournemouth finishing second, but another, 10 points or so would have saw us in a Champions League space, so I'm delighted with it this year. Siblica, one of our youngest players, has been amazing in terms of assists. David Luke was great in front of goal with 25 goals himself, and all of these young players are really starting to step it up and come along. And one player I want to point out, Jules Saka, the man that scored in the Carabao Cup, the Congolese 25-year-old, look at when he joined us. League 2 he started playing for us, and now here he is in the Prem, a mainstay as well, not even like a sub, a mainstay in the first team. I don't know how still, but he is. Lots of great players performing brilliantly for us this year. And now we go into season 12 with a budget of 55 million. We've got our club in a great place now. Facilities are working up. Reputation is still low, but we're going to keep pushing. This Dorking side needs to win the Prem. Maybe next year will be the one, but we need some big signings to keep improving. And now it starts getting special. We have made a mega sale and spent a bunch of money on incomings. And remember, if you've enjoyed this rebuild, if you think you could do better than me and actually complete it in 10 years, the rebuild files are over on Patreon. I want to see you guys getting them, giving it a go and seeing if you can do a better job than me. But let's get into who we sold and who we signed. Firstly, we have had Onyechachi Akpan, the guy that we signed in our first year in the Prem. He has left the club on a release clause fee of 30 million to Leicester. I think we're in a better position than Leicester, so I'm surprised that he's joined them, but you know what? Good luck to him. The German 23-year-old is out. And amongst many other sales, I want to give a shout out to Nico Valentine, a player that you'd look at and assumed would be crap, but no, this guy's been with us since the National League. He's scored goals everywhere he's went, scored a goal in the Premier League for us as well. A great story this was, and now he's playing for QPR in League One. Good luck to him. What a player he's been, what a servant. The fans love him, and now he's off. Coming in, we have some top talent. So firstly is Andres Garcia, a 24-year-old Uruguayan international who we've bought for 27 million from Fulham. A great left-footed centre-back is something we needed, and he comes into our team to help us. Another big money signing was Frank Salim. I wanted some goals from the right wing, which we were lacking, so the 25-year-old Congolese international has joined us from Leeds. £24 million was the fee for a man that has bad goals everywhere he's went, so hopefully he'll do it here too. Festi Ebesele is our new backup right back. The Irish international 32-year-old has signed from Benfica for 6 mil, and Luis Medina is coming in as one of our best centre-backs, a Uruguayan international also, 19 years of age, signing for 6 million from Nacional. And we actually have a labelled wonder kid choosing to join us at Dorking. A future French international, 20-year-old David Cathala, was playing his football at Basel and done unbelievably well. We've activated his release clause of 10 mil, and what a player we have signed. Someone for the future, and now here is our new best 11, and actually, I think we're stacked, and I think this team is a lot better than people would give credit. And just to prove to you, Escobar is still our goalkeeper and looks very good. Our right back has came along pretty well in Jevic, but you're starting to see these players now developing into unbelievable talents. Dave Williams, the right back and centre back option, is great, but really, it's the midfield where I think we have absolutely nailed down the transfer business. Martin Gomez is, in my opinion, a world-class level midfielder. He could win the Prem. Siblica, I could say the same about him. Look at those attributes at 21. Guevara, a brilliant creative player who I think again has Premier League winning quality. Salim, Ubeda, these are players that I think could do the business, you know, and Kim Boing-Zhu being on the bench looking this good. Maybe we could do it. I mean, if we have a look at the season preview, we are predicted to finish in 16th place still, but the odds have gone up slightly, and we are playing European football, so in some fashion, it's something new for Dorking. Will this be the year? I doubt it, but let's go on and kick on, and let's see what we can do in what is now our 10th, 12th season at the club. And I'm going to say it right now, this Dorking rebuild is going to go down as my favourite that I've ever done, I think. We've had many favourites on this channel over the years, but the time we put into this and the results that we've got, I mean, National League South to the Prem, we've gone and won the Carabao Cup, and this season, it's just got better. Because in our first season in Europe, we made it to a Europa League final. Granted, we had a pretty easy route there, beating Lask in the semi-final, but Brighton was our competition and they went 1-0 up after 5 minutes. But this was Dorking in a Europa League final, and after everything we've done, of course we had confidence that we could be the team to win this competition, and Fleming scored a brilliant goal. That made it 1-1. The man signed for only 100k, and it stayed level until the 85th minute when Pina picked up the ball into Gureva, who scored, put it in the back of the net, and we won the Europa League with Dorking. And when I say that's only the start of this season, it really was. Because we made it to the FA Cup final as well. The competition on the day was once again Brighton, and Adam Wharton for them picked the ball up in the 21st minute, and eventually they powered it home to make it 1-0. And it was a really tough game actually. After the Europa League final, they clearly wanted to get their revenge, but in the 80th minute, Ubeda pulled it across, the ball came out, and we powered home for an equaliser. And it was an extra time when there was bedlam. The cross came in, Jammeh headed it home, and we have managed to win the FA Cup, the Europa League, and the Carabao Cup now with Dorking. All that was left was the Premier League. You can imagine where this is going. We were great all season in the Prem, and we were actually in a title race from minute one. Liverpool were one of the teams around us though, and with 2 games left, they managed to beat us 1-0. And as it went, we got into the last game of the season needing a win to win the title. Of course it had to be against Brighton again. And this was an even tighter game than all of the others, and there was only 1 goal in it. In the 23rd minute, Mark Guiu scored, the man that was written off in our change of formation. David Luke has been the main man. He only scored a couple of goals last year, but Guiu stepped up, scored the goal, and we won the Prem. We won the Prem with Dorking Wanderers. If you don't believe me, here is the proof. We did it. Now, we were unbelievable in terms of not getting any draws, really. Only 2 all season. We lost 10 games. Not really good enough for a team to win a title. Around us, a lot of other teams lost too. There was no real standout this year. No 90-point season from anyone. 80 points is what did it, but 26 wins was the difference this season. As you can tell, though, no one guy scored all the goals for us. We were just a solid unit throughout this whole season. Everybody contributing to a bunch of goals. I mean, Jammeh scored 2. Salim came in and scored 15. So that was a nice bonus to have. Extra goals we didn't have last year from the right wing. Sablika was excellent with 5. Kathala came in and scored 11 from the midfield. We have 10 from Garcia, who is a centre-back, but being so tall and so good at heading, I can see why he was able to do it. We also managed to get 10 from King Boy Zhu, 16 from Cargbo as well on the right wing. And that's not including our strikers like David Luke, who scored 15, and Mark Guiu, who scored 12. We actually did it. We won the Premier League with Dorking. Our reputation is now 3.5 stars, a £2 billion valuation, a stadium of only a 7,000 capacity, and we've managed to do it with amazing facilities, and we've actually gone down for maybe the first time really in our rebuild history as a legend of the club. We have managed to do it. On top of that, Nico Valentine goes down as favoured personnel. Who else have we got here that I remember? Alfie Rutherford, retired age 29, having left Dorking and not picked up for 2 seasons. We had Luke is going down as a Dorking icon as well. On top of that, anyone else we remember? Mark Guiu, of course he's there. Daniel Adu Ajay, who is now playing his football at Wimbledon, who helped guide us to promotion after promotion. He was unbelievable. On top of that, Matt Briggs, I mean, he was there from minute 1, left Dorking in 2027, and then retired, having not been picked up after that. James McShane as well, another legend of Dorking Wanderers. But here we are, Dorking Wanderers, Premier League winners. The rebuild is complete. Let me know what you want to see next. Thanks for sticking with me if you're still watching to this point, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.